Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the February 2025 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Virgo for sun and rising placements. Welcome to February, Virgo. Let's jump right in. So, we start every February out in the fixed air sign of Aquarius. So, we're in Aquarius season right now. And where Aquarius hits in the Virgo horoscope is the sixth house of the horoscope chart, which is the house that Virgo traditionally rules. So the themes that the sixth house have are very in alignment with who you are as a person. We have daily organization and routine. Virgo's really part of the love language is acts of service, how you structure your day, things that you like to have in order, kind of whatever way that makes sense to you. Virgos are very analytical, being a Mercury ruled sign. And so problem solving and kind of analyzing situations and putting order to things is a big theme in the sixth house. Health and wellness is also ruled in the sixth house or is part of the sixth house rulership. So our personal health and wellness is here. We also have a relationship to our pets here and also how we're of service in the work that we're doing. So those are all big themes during Aquarius season for you. So right now, entering February, we have the Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and the planetoid series in the sixth house. So all of those themes that I just listed are of major importance. And Virgo rules the digestion, and then Aquarius has a strong connection to our ankles and our nervous system. And so those, and it's also Saturn ruled, so our bones, and even though that's more Capricorn Saturn than Aquarius Saturn, that can also be kind of a theme here a little bit too. And yeah, Aquarius rules the ankles. So those parts of our body are emphasized when we have a transit here. So Mercury and the Sun here are definitely supporting you in taking your health seriously. Also, being in a position where you are, kind of structuring your daily routine in a way that supports you. And, any kind of relationship that you have to animals is emphasized here. And then we also have, our work life. So one of the things that is happening early on in the month is the Sun and Mercury making a trine to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your 10th house of career, and it has been all year, but Jupiter's been retrograde, and as of February 4th, Jupiter stationed direct. So if you've been going through a lot of reflect, review, reassess energy when it comes to your career and the work that you're doing, this Aquarius energy came in and then made this trine at the beginning of February to this Jupiter stationing direct, and that's actually really positive for starting to get things moving forward that maybe you've been having in the works or kind of have been more stagnant. So whatever maybe you've been feeling kind of stuck in, you're kind of starting to get some momentum around that in terms of your work. So that's really good. The problem solving energy too in terms of work has been heightened for you, and there's a lot about how you're kind of mentally processing things and putting order to things that has been enhanced. And just you're very supported and in playing that role right now in those avenues of your life. The other energy that we start out the month of February with is Venus in Pisces, but she's only in Pisces for a few days. She was in Pisces for the majority of January, and then she moves into Aries on the 4th, the same time that Jupiter is stationing direct. So as I'm recording this, Venus is already in Aries. And where that's happening for the Virgo horoscope is she was in the 7th house, which is the house that's all about relationship and partnership. And when she's passing through this area, she's blessing relationships and partnerships. And when she moves into the 8th house, which is the house, that Aries sits in for the Virgo horoscope, she starts to bless the area of our lives that follow this: sex, death, rebirth, inheritance and estates, shared assets and resources, our relationship to banks and institutions, debts, loans. All of those themes are emphasized. Also, our fascination or relationship to occult studies is enhanced when Venus is passing, or any planet is passing through the 8th house. And Venus is going to be here for a long time. So one of the things that's happening is Venus will be stationing retrograde at the beginning of March. Now, Venus transits retrograde through the 8th house are actually really challenging on relationships. Venus is the planet that rules relationships, but depending on where she is transiting during her retrograde, that'll kind of be, emphasizing what the theme is for you. Venus is the ruler of Libra, and in Aries, she is in her detriment. And so she functions differently. In Libra, she wants harmony, partnership, she wants equality. In Aries, she's a lot more focused on what the individual needs are. So, just as much as relationships can be important and finding harmony and balance, we can't really show up in our relationships in a productive way if we ourselves are not getting what we need. So if we're, you know, pouring out of an empty cup, we're pouring into our relationships and we ourselves are not putting that energy into ourselves, and we're, just kind of feeling burnt out or depleted or taken advantage of all the time, we can start getting really resentful towards people in our lives. We can get angry. We can feel like we want to step away from certain relationship dynamics. And one of the things that I think my astrology practice and my spiritual practice has really helped me with is recognizing when this is a me issue versus a relationship in my life or somebody else issue. Because it's kind of like a wherever you go, there you are, right? And let's back up a little bit. Virgo and Pisces, these two signs are mutable. They're mutable yin signs of the zodiac. Virgo is mutable earth. Pisces is mutable water. You guys live on this kind of spectrum. We're about to enter Pisces season at the end of the month. So I'm bringing this up because Pisces is the opposite of you. So you're going to be feeling pulled into this kind of opposite energy that's going to be in your seventh house, which is the house of relationship. And that starts in the middle of the month. On February 15th, we're going to have Mercury entering Pisces and entering your seventh house. And then we're going to have the sun entering Pisces on the 18th. So February is a really big relationship centered month for Virgo in general, just from where most of the transits are hitting. But, this month, because Venus is going to station retrograde in Mars and Aries and move back into Pisces, your romantic relationships, your business partnership dynamics, if you have a business partner, or any kind of colleague one-on-one relationship, or any kind of best friend dynamic, are all going to be up for review. And there's going to be conflict potentially with you and somebody else, whether it's, business related, romantic, or personal. It's all like these personal relationships kind of are going through this reassessment period. And the reason why I bring up the Virgo Piscean axis too is that you too are the signs that are very dedicated to service. There's 4 signs in the zodiac that I feel are kind of the most service oriented signs. They are Aquarius, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the least service oriented out of that, outside of the fact that it's really, depending on where it sits in the chart, centered on upholding values and belief systems in a really similar way that Aquarius can be. It's a little bit more self-focused in terms of that spiritual quest, but if it takes a teacher role, it does become more of a service-oriented sign. Sagittarius really likes to disseminate knowledge, and that is, that can be a service. But Pisces and Virgo are more of like a, Virgo tends to be more service oriented when it comes to health, wellness, hospice, healthcare kind of, stuff. Also, being a steward of the earth. So like nature, being, fascinated by agriculture, permaculture, being ethically kind of in alignment with how we're, treating plants and nature, things like that is very Virgo. And then Pisces is more of the spiritual part of that, so it has more to do with kind of like our inner journey, our soul journey, like how, it can be more, into these kind of offbeat, like, like looking at quantum physics, spiritual studies that are not really accepted by society, trying out different things like that. Whereas Virgo is a little bit more Western focused. Pisces might be more kind of woo out there, but they're in tandem together. So they go hand in hand. And, you being such a service oriented sign, it's hard for you sometimes to advocate for yourself or create boundaries in relationships, because part of your love language is doing things for others. And that's where you see your value. With Venus and Aries passing through the 8th house and stationing retrograde here and going back into Pisces, that's going to come up for you during February. Like you're going to be reflecting on where you have poor boundaries, where you might self-sacrifice. And what's really easy to do is make this about other people. So part of the accountability that you need to take is, where are you not setting boundaries or setting yourself up for success in relationship dynamics? around what you need. It's hard for Virgo Piscean dominants to be self-focused. But what ends up happening is the victim martyr dynamic, which inherently is selfish because it's up to you to self-regulate how you're of service. If you put being a martyr on a pedestal and then you build resentment around the people that you're supposedly being a martyr for, it kind of defeats the purpose of the giving, if that makes sense. And then it just kind of turns into this weird, like, well, you didn't have to do that anyways. Like, nobody's going to want to be given to if it's filled with resentment or projections or whatever kind of weird stuff. And so the Venus and Aries bringing up conflict in your relationships is going to bring that up. And you're either working on it and super self-aware that you're doing it, or if you lack self-awareness and you fall into the victim martyr dynamic in your relationships, you're going to see yourself as a victim in a relationship dynamic, and you're going to think the whole relationship needs to be ended or moved away from in order for you to find that boundary or that pathway to the self. And maybe that's true. Some people are in relationships that need to end. That's part of the boundary. That's part of moving on. And then there's that wherever you go, there you are kind of thing, where if you haven't figured out how to set boundaries and self-regulate, and you haven't set the people up around you for success around what you need, you haven't set yourself up for success by filling into your own cup first, you're going to keep doing it in relationship dynamic after relationship dynamic. So it's really kind of up to you to do that work on yourself. And this Venus, in Aries going through the 8th house is really about that. It's really about kind of calling you out and, figuring out how you can advocate for yourself in these dynamics. The other energy that we have going into February is March finishing up its retrograde in Cancer. Now, where this is hitting for the Virgo horoscope is the area of the chart that rules our connection to community. When Mars is in the 11th house, we can have conflict in social circles. We can also feel a need to really advocate for our community and, get involved in politics or volunteer work. So again, there's a lot of energy for Virgo in February that wants to be very service oriented and very involved in things, but it also can lend itself to conflict and communication problems in terms of where it's hitting in the chart. So it's a thing, it's like, I really think it kind of has to do with don't go where you're wanted, kind of thing. Like, you go into these situations as a know-it-all, I'm just kind of trying to assert your gifts on everybody. Not everybody sees your gifts, not everybody values them. Don't waste your time trying to give stuff to people that don't want it. Find where you're useful, find where you're needed, find the people that value what you have to offer, and then also make sure that you're giving that back to yourself. So don't put yourself in a martyr victim dynamic. And I think Mars in the 11th house in Cancer, it might be teaching you kind of where that balance is. On the 12th of February, we are going to have a full moon in Leo, and that's happening at 24 degrees of Leo. And where that's hitting in the Virgo horoscope is your relationship to your subconscious. And, the full moon here, full moons are a really positive time for setting intentions around things we want to manifest into our lives, also things that we want to release and let go. And the 12th house, being tied to the subconscious, can rule things that we've, hidden or repressed from our conscious minds. And when we have the full moon here, a lot of energy here, it can bring stuff up to the surface. Now, Leo is tied to our self-expression. It's tied to children. It's tied to children in our lives, but also our inner child. It's connected to pleasure and joy and romance and how we want to share that energy with other people. And so when we have this area highlighted, it brings up those themes up to the surface. And, this is a positive time for you to set intentions around what you want to manifest into your life around these themes. How do you find joy? How do you find pleasure? Do you have anything blocking that needs to be let go, released in any kind of way for you to feel like you're living a fulfilling life? What's your relationship to creativity and self-expression? Are you expressing yourself the way that you want? All of those things are a theme during this full moon. I already talked about Mercury and the sun entering Pisces in the middle of the month. So Mercury will enter Pisces on the 15th, and then the sun will enter Pisces on the 18th. And again, this is opposite you. So Virgo in the horoscope is in the first house, But in Pisces season, this Sun and Mercury will be opposite you in the seventh house. And again, your relationships are highlighted during this time. So you might really want to work on communication dynamics, connecting more on a soul level with people, feeling like you're maybe intuiting a lot of what's going on under the surface with people, because Pisces is a very psychic energy. So all of that gets enhanced. Your relationships are a huge focus for the rest of the month. Mars is going to station direct in Cancer in that 11th house. So again, driving community service projects forward, getting involved in your community, social circles, like all of that's ramped up. There might be a little bit of conflict there, but you've had this energy here for a while, so you're just working through that. And then at the very end of the month, on the 27th, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces. And so this again is happening in your seventh house. New moons are a great opportunity to set intentions towards things that we want to manifest. So, happening in the seventh house in Pisces, I think it's 9 degrees Pisces. This new moon is an opportunity for you to set intentions for what you want to manifest in terms of your romantic partnership dynamics, any kind of business partnership, any kind of best friend relationship, any relationship where there's a partnership, one-on-one situation. This is a really positive time to set intentions towards the type of energy that you want to call into your life around that. Also, if you're single and you're dating and you have intentions that you want to set around the ideal partner or partners that you want to call in, this is also a really positive time for that. And this new moon is making somewhat of a trine to that Mars that just stationed direct in the 11th house, which is that community house, groups. It's all about manifesting the types of people that you want to have in your circle and in your life. So that's a positive place to put your energy for February. All right, Virgo, I'm going to leave you there. I do offer one-on-one astrology and tarot sessions. So if that's something that you would like to book with me, my information is in the description box. I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you all next month.